Okay, students, so we'll continue with the next topic, distinction between notes to accounts and qualifications. So before that, okay, I would like to give some perspective. I remember today morning, okay, once upon a time it was told by someone. I just want to share that idea with you. Now, once I had asked you, okay, when you are writing CA final exam, are you facing risk or uncertainty? Then we discussed, sir, it is risk. Why? What is risk? Something uncertainty only, but you can actually measure it. Now, what was our measurement for the risk? Like taking your example only, what is the risk you are taking? You said, sir, out of 100, 20 may clear. That means our success rate is 20%, risk of failing is 80%. Yeah, but there is some concept called the data analytics, students. Please understand. So the concept of a data analytics is, so you have to add more dimensions to what you see. You have to get more data. Now the dimensions goes like this. Chalo, this is fine. This is the truth because this is the data right now available to us. Agree with me? Okay. If we take it a higher percentage of 20% also, this is the data right now available with me. Now, if we have to make one survey or institute is doing some sort of one methodology, and they try to figure out, okay, Baba, 100 appeared for the exam. Out of 100, how many of them seriously prepared? Let us ask one more question, one dimension to this question. How much of them seriously prepared for the exam? See, when you are looking your success rate, okay, first we have to have one, what is that called, a categorization or stratification. Okay, sampling also says, because otherwise we end up taking sampling risk. We will try to, because we are well prepared, and we will try to extrapolate it to the population as a whole, which may not be representative because you are preparing well, but you are afraid that, sir, only 20%. Arey Baba, please see here. If we take that, okay, if we take that, how many are seriously prepared? Hardly, you may say 40 people might have seriously prepared. Okay, and or I can say 30. And 70 prepare must have taken the exam very casually. Followed, no? Yeah. Let us ask those people who have written, okay, whatever. Okay, somebody, they must say, okay, let me try this time because I want to write. Okay, now we'll come about what is preparation also. Now, if I have to figure out like who cleared out of this, that I should be considering this factor, right? Okay, maybe 2% I can consider here. Luck factor also might have played into picture, or 5% I can take. But if you see here, the pass percentage is 50 to 60% of ICA. That means when someone is well prepared, the probability becomes more likely than not. This is what I wanted to tell you, that let us focus on preparation. Now one question comes, what is preparation? Do you have any framework? Now, no, as of now, there is no framework. So what I feel, no, I was thinking, ICA should do, say, they are doing mock test, no, like this, they should some sort of preparatory test. And who clears that examination, they only should be permitted to write the final exam. This is what I feel. At least ICA can say, look, Baba, see our pass percentage substantially increased from so and so. Why? Because somebody is not preparing, somebody is not clearing that preparatory test. Why they should be permitted to write the finals? This is my thought. At least no, we can get the different perception about what is happening in the reality. Otherwise, we assume that 20% is the reality. 20% is not the reality. Okay, now what is preparation? So do we have any framework? As of now, we don't have a framework. So if we have to talk about the traditional framework, like what exactly you mean to say? Okay, so watching classes, attending classes, reading the book, okay, writing the test. So we see this is preparation. But can we have one framework, a modern framework? Definitely. Okay, where we can have a proper detailed different types of tests. We can have a different analysis. Like I told, no, somebody may have a articulation problem, somebody may have a memory problem. So each of this, how you should be addressed in your organization. Okay, what is that component? So I can say preparation should have a component like internal control components. There are 5 components of internal control. Similarly, no, imagine if the ICA is going to come with the framework for preparation. Like what should be the important component of the preparation? What material you should be referring? Okay, how many times you should have read it? How many tests you should have given? How much writing practice has happened? That's a very important component. If somebody is going to miss that component, then they will be in the familiarity illusion. What is a familiarity illusion? Familiarity illusion is like you watch the video lecture, like marathon lectures and go. You get into the same illusion. It's called a familiarity illusion. When you look at the question, no, it looks very familiar. You know, you feel, and you know it. I say write it. Not possible. Why? Because it is requiring writing practice. So getting my point, students? So don't think from a different perspective. Change your perspective. So we actually see that there is a 60 to 70% chances, and this chance is going to increase. I can say, okay, to be on a more conservative side, 50 to 60% there is a chances with the good preparation, and with an excellent preparation, this chance is going to still raise. Huh? Okay, so let us come back again to our chapter number 7. We started with the what they called your reporting. So first we spoke about essay 700. In this, no, primarily we spoke about how to form an opinion, forming of the opinion. For this, financial statement should be as per FRF. So that is what material misstatement you are trying to find out. Then form of opinion. So there were different components. Out of these, 2 components are important. The component number 1 is the opinion section. Opinion section has got two parts. One is having 5 elements, another is having some 4 elements. Okay, sorry, not in the basis. You have got 2 elements like fair presentation framework, compliance framework. Then basis of opinion is important. It is having 4 components. Then you have got the auditor's responsibility. It has got 3 sections. What is audit? How did you do? What you communicated. Besides this management responsibility and all, they are not important. And we see that in the next chapter, SA 705, only these things they have told, like how to modify. What is that change? Because rest everything will remain almost the same. Then we moved on to the second chapter, 701. So first we discussed what is key audit matter. How do you determine the key audit matter? How it is going to help? How are you going to report it? Is it a substitute? So these are all the substitute for the modifications. Okay, so are you supposed to communicate to TCWG? See, these are all the aspects. These are all the concepts we have learned in SA 701. Okay, sorry, one more thing. Here we missed 2 more elements. Then as per law, suggested by law, in that case we have to follow the law, but standards we can refer only if we have got 13 elements. Then what if you have prepared as per ESA plus essay, and then what more element is, what if supplementary information is given? So I can say SA 700 has been divided into 5 sub concepts. Out of this form is the very important concept because of this opinion, these 3 concepts. So once your mind is mapped, then you are done. Now key audit matter also same. So we have discussed here scope. This is important. It is not a substitute. So they have told about 4 elements. Applicability. So determining. So those many. Okay, I think we have covered here. Then comes SA 705. So first we talks about the types of opinion, circumstances when you give, circumstances to determine each type. Like first of all, there are 3 types. There are 2 circumstances. Based on you obtained evidence, you didn't get evidence. Criteria, there are 2. Materiality, pervasiveness. Then comes the concept. How do you blend type plus criteria plus your circumstances? That's why you came with the matrix. Qualified, adverse, disclaimer. Because these 3 elements got blended now. There are 3 types. There are 2 circumstances. You got evidence, you didn't get evidence. And there are 2 criteria to evaluate which type. Materiality, pervasiveness. Okay, then rest of the thing we discussed about here. How the opinion will change. Like this is first about the forming. I can say forming opinion is this matrix. This is forming opinion is this matrix. These are all introduction. Then form of opinion. In the form of opinion, primarily 3 things they have addressed. One, they have talked about the opinion section. then they have spoken about the basis of opinion, then the auditor's responsibility. Rest everything will remain the same. Yeah, this is what we have done up to previous section. Okay, then we came across concept number 4706. We have got two elements called the emphasis of matter, which is fundamental. Other matter, it is primarily the auditor's responsibility. So here we have come across how it is going to assist, how it is useful. Okay, then what are the examples? Examples were two, which can affect the functioning, which do not affect the functioning. Yeah, these are all the overall concepts we have learned. So today we will move on further. Distinction between notes to accounts and qualifications. See, please understand, the notes to accounts is prepared by the management. Qualification is done by the auditor. So they are not substitute. Both are two different elements. One, see, when I am teaching you, I have got some notes. That is like auditor's notes. You cannot simply sit and watch that. No, you should be preparing your own notes. So, just because I have given you a concept note, is it a substitute for your short notes? No. Why? Please understand, students. You have to write. I am telling you repeatedly. You take pen whenever you prepare. Whether you write it, not write it, you scribble it. Okay. See, I am a person who believes in logic. I don't believe anything. Okay, somebody tells me. I always see. Okay, do I find a logic there? Now I have found somewhere. See, I am not able to explain, but I have found a logic that some connection is there. Some sort of connection is there. You have to trust. That's it. You see, I started to believe in sports. Never ever I believed in sports. I don't watch, but I am always strongly suggesting my kids, please get into sports. Anyone sports. I am suggesting you also, please get into sports. Now, how did I develop that belief? How did I develop that conviction? You may be surprised, friends. One student came to me. Okay, after second PUC, that person selected badminton as a full-time profession. That means he is a state level badminton player now. Now, when he came on 11th of December with his father, because it was the time where it was a slack time, there is no matches and all, so he wanted to enter into CA. And 12th of January 2025 was the foundation exams. Now he came to me and asked for guidance and all. I thought, what Baba, there are Atirata Maharathas are there working from months together there. Okay, and how it is in 1 month, what you are going to do? That too, you are all time into sports only. Then what I did, see, I connected him to some of the mentors, like, okay, to guide him with the concepts or whatever. To my surprise, friends, when the exams were done, he has secured 235. Not even at the border he has cleared, 235. Then later, I understood, see, since he is into sports, there are two things. One, he is focused. There's a fantastic focus, fantastic discipline on his part. And second thing, that there is a fantastic mindset of winning. And I realized, yes, sports is going to give that. That, see, when you're playing, actually you're focused at that point of time, at least. Correct? Your mind is not somewhere else. Now that will come into your blood. And you get one mindset that I have to win it. Let me see now. Okay. Because sports also creates that type of stress situation, like we are about to lose. Then that's competitive spirit comes that I have to clear. That's why, student, see, why I'm giving a reference of sports, because I believe in writing. Please take the pen. Don't simply listen. You have to make a notes. Whether you are going to read it second time or not, that is not the concern here. But whenever you are listening, make notes. Okay? Always makes notes. Whatever. Even though it is in a very rough language like this. See what I'm doing. What you understand. What I understand second time. No, but I'm doing something there. Because brain is going to have a map. Okay. Now what is the distinction? Very easy. We will move on quickly. Management explain their viewpoint through the notes for the better understanding of the financial statements. Now, notes represents the management standpoint and not the auditors. And auditors, if auditor is not willing, if not agreeing with those notes, then he will express his intentions by way, his beliefs by way of qualifications. Now, sometimes management may say that, look, sir, don't please modify. We will disclose everything in the financial statement. That is must. You see, going concern. You have to tell that there is a material uncertainty related to going concern. Then what I can do? I will not qualify, But I will bring one emphasis, either in the form of emphasis of matter, key audit matter, or a going concern matter. But I have to apply my professional judgment. Should I modify or should I bring only an emphasis? But if I have to modify, I may have to modify. Okay, because it is my modification is not a substitute for management's notes to accounts. Once the auditor concludes that modification of his report is required, he may refer to the specific note. That's why in the Q&A yesterday, always we have seen, please refer to note number 11, because always we give reference so that more facts can be explained. So my audit report will be very crisp, but I want to explain something more, then I will give the reference instead of repeating the same thing. Quantification and impact also you can say, and I have to explain my qualifications in a clear and unambiguous manner, plus state the reasons. Okay, as per section 145 also I am supposed to state the reason for qualification. So this is all about the difference between your notes to accounts and qualification. Like company has committed an irregularity. Now this irregularity has been stated in the notes to accounts. Is it done? No. I have to bring it to the notice of the shareholders, because they could have given it in note number 56, somewhere in between. No, it is not appropriate to say with foregoing explanation, subject to and all, but I should tell very clearly, except for the matters prescribed in the basis for the opinion. I should not be using with the foregoing explanation, subject to. No, those are all the words I should not be using. Say for 1 mark they can ask you. So where notes of a qualificatory nature appear in the accounts, the auditor should state all the qualifications independently. Reference to the notes in the auditor's report do not automatically becomes qualification. That means they only have given in the nature of a qualification. That means there is a problem. They might have told that there is a problem. So me giving a reference there is not going to solve it. Like for example, I can give an example like this. They made a wrong capitalization. Okay, what is that wrong capitalization? Something they should have charged to the P&L account, they have taken to the balance sheet. Is it wrong? Yes. What they did in note number 22, they said we have done wrong what is that called, capitalization. Some amount should have been charged to P&L account. Our opinion, it should have been taken to balance sheet, and this is against the principle of accounting standards. Okay, they only have given. Now as an auditor, can I give a reference there? Look, please refer note number 22. No. Instead, I cannot say clean opinion and please refer there. I have to start with the qualified opinion heading and say except for the matter which is told in the basis financial statement, true. And in basis for the opinion, I can say refer note number 22. There I can give a reference. But their qualification is not my qualification. I hope you are clear. There are no questions on this. We'll move on. Distinction between audit report and notes. Okay, let's see. There was some question. I think I must have put it after 720. I don't know whether it is related to this or not. Write a short notes on. Okay, no. Distinction between audit report and certificate. Okay, what is a report? Report is where you form an opinion. Certificate, like your 10th marks card. Is it called a certificate? CA certificate, birth certificate. So what a certificate will tell? Certificate will tell a fact. Report, okay, your report of aging, debtors aging, it will give an opinion. So there is no accuracy here, or here less accuracy, but here it is accurate. So the report is when opinion is formed, certificate is done when the facts are verified. So there can be a number of situations where the auditor is required to issue a certificate rather than a report. Okay, like he has to say that whether an auditor is required to file a certificate to the tribunal for proposing for the reduction of the capital. See, when there is a reduction of the capital, I know exactly, my opinion is not required. I need not form a belief. I know the facts. I can report the fact. So primarily in the certificate, you are going to report the fact. In the report, you are going to report the opinion. Okay, so opinion is not a certificate. Then what did they ask you here? Write a short note on certificate of special purpose and audit note. Okay, so they have given something like this, twisted manner. Certificate of special purpose and audit report. So certificate is a written confirmation of accuracy. Auditor verifies the facts, circulation figures of the newspaper, now value of imports, investments, your fixed assets. These are all you can physically measure and calculate. auditor certificate represents that he has verified certain figures. So there are so many situations. See, this para was there in the study material, but these were not there. So they can ask you this question in the exam. Now, report is a formal statement with an inquiry, examination, etc. So primarily you form the opinion there. So report involves expression of the opinion. Now, what is the reporting to the shareholders and reporting to those charged with the governance? Have they discussed? Communication to management and TCWG. Yes, 260 talks about the communication to management and TCWG. Auditor shall determine the appropriate person. Already we have discussed this in chapter number 3 or 2. So when all of those charged with the governance are managing the entity, if all of the TCWG are involved in managing the entity, matters need not be communicated again. That means if you are told once to management, it is equivalent to what you have told to the TCWG. But if there are TCWGs are different from the management, whatever you have communicated to the management, you cannot assume that it has been communicated. Like, see students, I can say something like this. I can give an analogy to what they are trying to tell here. Now, when you joined, say, foundation or the inter, who were you? You were management. Who was TCWG? Your parents were TCWG. Agree with me? Because they took the decision, should you enter into foundation or not. They took the decision where you should be going for the coaching. They took all the decisions related. They had an oversight on you. Agree with me? Now, as the time passed, you cleared the foundation and the inter, you joined the final. Now tell me, who is the management? Sir, management is you only. Who is the TCWG? TCWG is also you. If you are a foundation student, I had an obligation to speak to your parents. Communicate them what you are doing in the classroom and all. Why? Because maturity was less. So TCWG was there. But when you have come to the final, see, I don't have any single requirement to talk to your parents. Why? Because you yourself is the management and you yourself is the TCWG. Now tell me students, should I need to develop another sort of communication with somebody else now? Now, when the management and TCWG are one, because you only take the strategic decision where to take the class, when to take the class, or what to study. You are the oversight for yourself. In such cases, I need not repeat that communication again. I need not go and talk to your parents again what you are doing in the classroom. That's what they are trying to tell here in the audit also. If management is different from TCWG, you may have to communicate again to the TCWG. But if all of the TCWGs, when they are involved in the managing, again, second time you need not repeat because my standard is telling that. So whatever communication happens, that will be sufficient. I hope it is clear. So what is that matters to be communicated? Responsibilities of the auditor. We have come across plan, scope and timing. Significant findings from the audit. Significant findings includes qualitative aspects, significant difficulties, matters arising, written representation, circumstances or any other significant matters. So we will move on. This we have already seen previously in essay 260. I don't know why they are giving again. Now, there were some more questions. We will just go through because these are all the questions included in your test your knowledge, not part of your study material. Compare and explain the following: reporting to the shareholders versus reporting to TCWG. We have seen essay 260 reporting to the TCWG, but reporting to the shareholders, where that has come. Okay, first of all, you say section 143 talks about the reporting to the shareholders. It is a statutory report. 260 deals with the TCWG. Addressee will be the members, as addressee will be the board of directors. Statutory audit will be talking about the true and fair view. This is matters of the governance interest, which is that 4 objectives and scope, plan, scope and timing, your significant findings, independence. Confidentiality, yes, it is a public, but this is a private report. Then they asked, what is the difference between audit qualification and matter? Okay, essay 705 versus 706. Purpose is to bring the qualification, bringing subject to report or accept that. But emphasis is what something has been properly defined, presented in the financials, which are fundamental. When it is given, when there is a two situations, when there is a material but not pervasive, material and pervasive, you got evidence, you didn't get evidence. Okay, so here, when you are not supposed to modify, emphasis, when you will give, when you are not required to modify, and this is not a key audit matter. So you will say when it is to be given. Examples, when the inventory is not properly valued, you give the qualification. When inventory has been destroyed by fire, but it is a very substantial inventory, which is properly accounted and presented, you give emphasis of matter. So like this, you can give the examples. Yes. Some 2-3 questions. Again, you actually need not prepare, students. You just see it. So today you have seen it. That's sufficient. You also have a risk-based preparation in your mind. What I should prepare well? What should I do? See, certain questions out of your common sense only you can write. Okay. Now comes the comparative information. Requirements in case of a comparative information. Okay. Now what is a comparative? Let us have an understanding. I'll give an analogy or a comparison. If I ask you 50, is this good or bad? What is your opinion, students? Please share me your opinion. And you say, sir, what is 50? How I can say whether what is 50? Okay, so you need a label, right? If I say 50 is a mark, is this good or bad? Now, still you cannot say. Then you may ask me out of 100. Arey Baba, is it a question to ask? Generally in India, any exams will happen out of 100 only, from the first year, first standard to CA final. Then you will ask me, sir, which examination? See, if I say 10th exam, and you say, sir, this is nonsense. Today people are taking 625 out of 625. Which is that person who has secured 50? He must be some musician. He must be an athlete. He must be someone who doesn't belong to the academics. Yeah, because we cannot evaluate everybody from their marks. No, each person is distinct in this world. Never ever before we have come. Never ever will be there who are like us. Now, if I say it is a CA final, so next day there will be a banner in my face, in my name. Now, you see, students, what I'm trying to tell, the moment I bring a benchmark, a comparison, see, when you compare, you establish a relationship with, okay, you bring a context there. In which context I secured? See, now your perception is going to change. I said 10th, you say not good. I say CA final, you say excellent. You see, your opinion got changed. So, it happens every time, students. You go to buy some, say, sandal. Somebody say 500 rupees. Now, automatically, your mind is going to compare this to your previous purchase, this to the value you receive, this you to your the another chappal with another price tag, to the advertisement what you have seen. Point is simple. If you cannot compare, you cannot take decision. Are you clear? No comparison, no decision. Why? No, you can still take decision, but your decision is not a rational decision, because you doesn't know, you simply took that. But when you said someone, you appraised, okay, Baba, very good. You compared, you had a comparison somewhere. Followed, no? That's why we have got this equation. Happiness is equal to expectation minus reality. So we have got some expectations to compare. Followed, no? If we have got a zero expectation in life, we are happy all moment, enjoying everything what God has given to us, which we will realize only when we miss. We are happy, but very difficult, this particular concept, to make expectations zero and live. This is what Krishna also told Bhagavad Gita, just focus on what you can do and leave everything to God, because don't expect anything. Karma ka phal, don't. That is, God decide that. Very fantastic, very beautiful concept to hear. Extremely difficult concept to practice. Okay, so now comes the comparative information. So primarily in this particular essay 710, we talk about comparative information. Why it is given? Primarily to take a decision, so that users can get a perspective. Otherwise, what I can do, I can actually fool the people. Like for example, I made a profit of 100. Now, is this good or bad? I don't know. But the moment this is my current year profit, this is my last year profit. If my last year profit was 200, immediately somebody will say, "Arey, what is this nonsense? Or why profit came down?" So what I can do, I know people are going to question me, correct? And auditor is certifying only this year number. So simple, right? Go here and make it 50. People start praising you, because who remembers last year numbers? Oh, from 50 you became 100. Excellent. You see, students, somebody can actually misguide the investor, not with the current year number, just by changing the previous numbers or regrouping it. Somebody can easily fool. You can show the performance better now, because they also know only a single standalone number is of no use. They have to compare it with the industry, they have to compare with the benchmark, they have to compare with the last year. Then only you can say, no, this is performance is good or bad. Correct? So you are writing test. Okay. Then I can say good or bad. So I need to have some expectation. I need to have a comparison. In relation to that only I can tell. Okay. So this is the concept of a comparison. No comparison, no decision. So what is that comparative information we have got? We have got two types of comparative information. Please understand, you may get confused with the word. It's called a corresponding figure and comparative financial statement. Corresponding means last year, in which what you do, you will give a comparative information like this, like revenue, 100 this year, 200 last year. In India, we have got this concept. We don't have this concept in India. In comparative financial statement, you give current year financial statement like this, revenue 100. And instead of giving a comparative here only, corresponding figure, after 2 pages, you give last year's financial statement and say previous year revenue is 200. And you expect the users only sit and compare it. So that's why if you take any annual report, our schedule 3 financial statement says you have to give corresponding figure, not a comparative financial statement. Don't give last year's financial statement. You give in one current financial only you give. Now one question comes, what auditor is certifying? See, in this case, no, auditor is certifying only this numbers, not the last year numbers, but he is giving one certification on the comparative part also. Whether he's telling you whether can you compare or not. So now I got into responsibility to check last year numbers. And again one question comes, was I last year's auditor? Because if I was the last year auditor, I know the numbers. Or was it audited last year, or am I auditing it for the first time? Okay, in this case, what happened now? You have to sign last year's also, you have to sign this year's also. That's why this is a very lengthy process. That's why in India, we don't have comparative. But from the exam point of view, you have to learn. Now, SA 710, comparative information, corresponding figure and comparative financial statement deals with the responsibility with the comparative. There are two broad approaches. One is called a corresponding figure, another is comparative information. So in the corresponding figure, the auditor's opinion is for the current period only. You are not going to sign the last year's figures. But in the comparative financial statement, opinion is for the each of the period present. That means again afresh you are going to do the audits. You are going to sign it. But you will not do it that extensively, but you are going to do a verification. That's why we don't have that such a lengthy practice. So what is the objective? Is to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence about the comparative information. In that, it is as per the required framework. Like if the Companies Act is talking, you provide corresponding figure, provide corresponding figure. If it is telling provide comparative information, financial statement, provide comparative financial statement. So check how the organization done the comparative as per the framework and is it proper. So these are the two elements of the objectives of the auditor. The objective includes first obtain the evidence whether the company has really presented the comparative as told by the standard framework. Second, we have to report on our findings. Okay, what did we find? Is that comparative proper? Is there any misleading? I told you how people can get misled by the comparative. So what is the audit procedures you are supposed to perform? Very simple here. For both corresponding figure plus comparative financial statement, you have got the same set of audit procedure. Perform specific audit procedures to check whether they are properly classified comparative information. 1. Ensure comparative figure agree with the other disclosures in the period. Simple. If you have to check last year figures are given here or last year numbers are given, you compare, you must be having a last year's annual report. You compare this number with the last year number. This is the very first thing you should be doing. Then you will come to, you got an evidence, okay, 200 was correct. Otherwise, what management could have done? They would have made it 50. So, even though you are not signing this number, you have to have a comparison with the last year number and check whether they are agreeing. Second, accounting policies are consistent. Otherwise, comparison not going to happen. Last year you have followed FIFO method. This year you have shifted to weighted average method, but this number is with the FIFO. This is with the weighted average. That's why we have got a concept. When you revise the accounting policy, you have to give the third balance sheet with the retrospective effect. You have to change. Have they done that? That's what you need to check. And if there are any changes, they are properly disclosed and presented. So primarily you see whether the numbers are matching and accounting policies are same. Then evaluating the impact of the financial statement. If the auditor becomes aware any possible, okay, you have performed this process. In this process, you come to know some misstatements. Okay, last year the inventory was not proper. Last year your capitalization was not correct. Yes, last year auditor missed it. Please understand. Now what you should do? You should perform the audit procedures to obtain the evidence. If the auditor had audited the prior period, then SA 560 becomes applicable, like fact becoming known. So if you come across anything right this year, which is related to last year, and you only have done the last year audit, then SA 560 becomes applicable. If it is you have not done the last year audit, and if the financial statement requires an amendment, then you have to tell the management, please tell your previous auditor. They have to do the amendment now. Again, the last year figures has to be revised. You have to bring one emphasis of matter now. And take written representation, because here you cannot get any other evidences. That auditor should obtain representation that any prior period items are being properly disclosed. That means you are not hidden that prior period items. You have properly classified and shown it. That's why there is only one answer, students. What is the audit procedure you are going to perform? You will perform specific procedures that numbers are matching, policies are okay. Evaluate the financial statement if there is any problems of the last year, and take the written representation from the management. Your answer is done. Okay, the majority of the questions can revolve, because there is no questions on this. Maybe they can ask you one question, but actually the questions will come from audit reporting, and it is very small. That's why we will move on fast. Only 2 questions are there. Now, how do you report now? So one thing is you have performed the audit. With this performing, you got an evidence that it is as per the framework. Second is, how do you report? Yes, you will see now. Reporting will be distributed into 2 elements. But how do you report corresponding figure? How do you report comparative financial statement? Okay. When you talk about the reporting, see, we have to be very clear, and please write and practice this para. When corresponding figures are presented, the auditor's opinion shall not refer to the corresponding figure. Keep this in mind. That means your opinion is only for this number and not this number. You are not going to certify that numbers. Your opinion is only for the current year. That means when you say, in our opinion, the accompanying financial statements show true and fair, comprising as per the accounting standard, comprising of balance sheet as on 31st March 2026. You don't say 2025 also. You don't refer that. Okay, this part is clear. So they say that you should not refer the previous. But there are some circumstances when you may have to refer last year figures. That's why it is coming as an exception to it. The general rule, you should not refer last year. That's why if you take anybody's annual report, you see that auditor is talking only current year numbers, not the last year numbers. Followed, no? So for me, I can say this is more like opening balance. When somebody is talking to me about your performance, should I talk about the intermediate or should I talk only about the finals now? You tell me. Are you interested to know, or your parents are interested to know about me, about your inter performance or final performance? Final, obviously. You understand? That's why general rule, it should be only current year. When I should be speaking about the last year? When auditors report of the previous year period. Okay, so I don't know. They have written the word contains other than unqualified opinion to irritate you. If you want, you please strike it off and write contains a modified opinion which is not resolved. Please write this. So when should I write about the last one? Like for example, in the intermediate chapter, you left chapter number 4, risk assessment, thinking it is difficult. Is it going to affect me now? Yes, it's going to affect me now. So I expect you to study that, at least go through. If it is not resolved, then I have to quote. I have to ask you again. I hope you're clear. Similarly, last year issue was not resolved. Like last year there was a wrong capitalization was done. What last year's auditor will do? Last year's auditor will give the modified opinion. What the management should have done? They should have corrected that. Now, since they have not corrected it, it is going to affect me now. This year closing balance is also overstated because of that wrong capitalization. I have to qualify my current year report. But now I should say that this issue didn't happen this year, but this issue was coming from the last year. So then only I can refer last year. Because the problem was not from the current year financials. Because somebody should not doubt me. Why it came? I should bring it to the notice of the management. Sir, last year it happened. Please see last year's financials. There is a problem. I hope you are clear. That's why please remove this sentence and write this sentence. You will be much more clear. If the auditor is of the opinion that he has obtained sufficient evidence, the material misstatement exists. That means last year auditor gave clean report. But if I find there is a problem last year, okay, you don't know journal entry. This is last year problem. This is not a final problem because journal entry is coming from the last year. So if the auditor is of the opinion that there is sufficient evidence that there is a material misstatement in the opening balance, then which has not been addressed, even though last year's auditor has given a clean audit report, I have to qualify my audit report telling this problem is there. Okay, what if the prior period audits were not audited? He should obtain evidence on the opening balance as per 510. If it is not audited, I can obtain the evidence. Okay, so now you read the language as per SA 710. So below content is not in study material, but it's coming in RTP. This is something extra, which they should have put it here. When the previously issued audit report includes a modified opinion, means it is an expansion of this. This particular para will get expanded into 2, which they didn't tell you in the study material. But in the MTP question, they have told. But this is actually coming from the standard. That's why contains a modified opinion which is not resolved. This will go into say, if the last year's auditor's report contains a modified opinion and the matter is resolved, auditor's opinion on the current year period should not refer. Agree? Yes, because last year there was a modified opinion and they have corrected it. Then matter is closed. When you should refer last year? Only when the previous year auditor's report contains a matter which is still unresolved. So auditor can modify the audit report on the current period financial statement. And in the basis for the modification paragraph, which I should explain now why I am modifying, I should give a reason. Refer both to the current year figures and the corresponding figures and tell effects and the possible effects are material. Okay, current and refer. And in other cases, in the modification, that means if the effects are material, I should tell current year figure also, last year figures also. But in case where the effect is immaterial, still I should qualify the opinion and I should say that explain that the opinion has been modified because of the effects of the comparability. Okay, I will give you this example. Okay, this is what you need to practice. Let us see the Q&As also. Yeah, there are some few Q&As. Okay, I can give something like this. Previous year report is not modified. No question of referring. Are you clear? But previous year audit report was modified. We are talking about the corresponding figure. First question, was that modification resolved or not resolved? Resolved. Don't refer. But if it's unresolved, then you have to see, is it material or immaterial? If it is material, we have to modify and we have to refer current year also, last year also. But if it is immaterial, we have to still modify, but we have to talk only about the comparability. See, what is this example? It goes like this. This is my current year. This is my previous year. In previous year, I am talking about a fixed asset. Actually, 100 was the fixed asset. Because of the wrong capitalization, 150 became fixed asset. 50 is overstated. Something should have gone to P&L account. First question, last year auditor, if he sees this, that they have done the wrong capitalization, which type of opinion they will give? If they would have written 100 only, 100 is a fixed asset and they have properly recorded 100, last year auditor would have given clean report. So we will fall into this category. But what management did last year? They made 100, instead of 100, they reported 150. Out of this, 50 is wrong. Now, what last year auditor will do? Last year auditor will give modified opinion. What management did first? They reversed it. Okay, they resolved that matter. This year they reversed. So in that case, again, don't talk about the last year. But if it's unresolved, that means it is still contained. So this year fixed assets are say 280 out because you additionally acquired, but out of 280, 50 is coming from the last year. Is it material? Yes, it is material. Wrong capitalization you have done. So now you have, is this current year figures are wrong? No, current year figures are perfect. Is this capitalization of the current year fantastic? Absolutely no problem. Then you should say opinion. The accompanying except for the matters referred in the basis for the financial statement, accompanying financial statement shows true and fair. Now, basis of opinion, basis for qualified opinion. This is qualified opinion. Last year, the capitalization of worth 50 was done wrong. So, our current year, this effect has moved to the current year. So, in the current year also, this effect will be same, 50 is more. So, our opinion is modified because of this. So, this is how you are going to say. I hope you are clear. Now, what if the current year effect is immaterial? It is unresolved, but it is immaterial. Like for example, stock. Last year, 50 was the stock. And due to impracticability, due to strike or agitation, the auditor was not able to do the physical verification. So, if the physical verification was not done, what auditor will do? Auditor will issue modified opinion. Now, what management may say? Management may say, sir, you please verify. No. Last year, okay, because that agitation was there. My current year stock is 80. You please verify. And what I assume that 50 is not material, or I can say 180, and I have verified this number. But 50 is not material. Okay. So in such cases, what should I tell? Since already there was a modification, I should say qualified opinion that except for the matter so and so, it is true and fair. I should tell now, last year, the auditor had issued a modified opinion. This year numbers are correct, but I am giving qualification only for comparability. That means if you are trying to compare a 180 with 50, be careful. Because last year there was a qualification for this. This year numbers are correct. So my qualification is only for a comparability. Only if you want to compare it, be careful. Otherwise, I don't have any issues. So this is what you try to tell. Friends, I hope, yeah, this is a bit tricky. We can see one Q&A, then you will understand it better. Now, the audit report of P Limited for the year 16-17 contained a qualification for non-provision for bad debts. So what happened? Debtors becomes overstated. Provision becomes understated. As a auditor for the company for the 17-18, see, this itself is the key for you. They must be talking about a comparative. How would you report if the company does not make the provision for bad debts of 17-18? The company makes adequate provision for 17-18. So in the first case, last year there was a problem. This year also that problem continued. Okay. In the second case, last year there was a problem. The management has resolved that problem this year. Or another way they can ask you this same question. It was observed from the modified report of the financial statement of the 31st March 17 that depreciation of 2.5 crore has been charged off to the P&L account instead of carrying value of assets under construction. That means they should have capitalized something. They didn't do it. State the relation to the audit. In relation to the audit of 31st March 2018. Okay, so these two dates, when you see, you understand it's comparative they are talking. Whether such last year's modification have any audit implication? If yes, how would you deal with it in your audit report? Yes, you're to tell the answer, yes, there is an implication, you will fetch 1 mark and then you write the story. So you straight away talk about SA 710, you need not talk about the procedure. Auditor's report on the prior period includes the modified opinion, and if the matter has been resolved and properly accounted, auditor's opinion for the current year shall not refer the previous year modification. That means the second instance. You should not do it. However, It further states that if the previous year matter has been unresolved, the auditor shall modify the auditor's opinion for the current period also. That means this time you have to write qualified opinion instead of opinion. In the basis for modification, you have to refer both current year figures and the corresponding figures. Description of the matter giving rise to this are the possible effects when current year figures are material. In other cases, you have to explain that the auditor opinion has been modified because of the effects on the comparability of the financial statement. Okay, instead of immaterial thing, I can bring it something like this. Instead of 180, it has become not 180, it is 30. Say for example, it is 30. Now, 30 is immaterial for current year. So you are giving a comparative, you are giving qualification only for a comparative phase. You are not giving any for numbers, because last year it was modified, it has not been resolved. But this year you are done the audit, but this number is immaterial. Okay, because last year audit was never conducted only. So in other cases, explain that audit has been modified because of the effects on the comparative of the figures. So there are two scenarios. P does not make a provision, you have to modify the report. If P provision is made, auditor need not modify the report. Depreciation. In the case when the depreciation has not been provided, you have to modify. If depreciations are corrected, you need not refer to the last year. Okay, one more question came. Okay, we'll continue. We'll see this question later. So first we have seen about the last year figures, corresponding figure. Okay, now what about the comparative financial statement? See, in comparative financial statement, annual report contains two P&Ls. One P&L for the current year and last year's P&L also they will put here, previous year P&L. So in such cases, auditor's opinion shall refer each of the period for which it is presented. And this is not applicable in India, but you have to study from the exam point of view. When the reporting on the current year periods, auditor's opinion differs from the previously issued. That means last year auditor has given clean, but you are going to give for the last year modified opinion. Or last year or auditor has given modified opinion, but you want to give clean opinion this year because you have audited this. So if you are going to differ, you have to disclose the substantive reason for such difference. So why you are telling last year number, why you are differing your opinion from the last year's opinion, you have to state. If the auditor concludes material misstatement is present in the previous year audited figures, that means if there is a problem, okay, last year auditor gave clean opinion, but you found out mistake, definitely you will give modified opinion about last year. Now one question comes, last year's statement requires changes now. Will you do it? No. So if you find that material misstatement is present in the previous year figures, you should request the management to inform to the predecessor auditor. If you yourself is that predecessor auditor, SA 560 becomes applicable and last year numbers needs to be revised now. But if some other auditor has done last year's audit, you have to ask for the amendment of the financial statement and then you have to bring. These are all the things which out of rare instances it happens. Okay, a lot of things get addressed properly because revision of the financials is not so easy, no. Okay, and whatever ICA has done, they said no re-evaluation, only re-totaling, because they don't want to get inside again what is done once. Yes, so this is the all about thing. And the last one, reporting treatment common to both. Okay, what is that? Something you have to be giving reporting to both for corresponding figure and comparative, which should be disclosed in the current year report. Two elements. If the audit was done by predecessor auditor, that means last year auditor was different or last year it was not audited. In such circumstances, whether you are talking about the corresponding figure or comparative financial statement, you have to give the following. So if the last year audit was done by a predecessor auditor, your audit report shall additionally state that prior period was done by somebody else, and where you state in other matter paragraph, because this is somewhere you try to explain to the users about your report, what type of opinion last year auditor gave and what was the date of the auditor's report. And if your in other meta paragraph, if last year financials were not audited, you say that the last year figures are unaudited. However, it's not going to relieve me from the obtaining evidence from the opening balance as per 510. I hope it's clear, students. This is how you are going to you are going to prepare for SC 710. Okay, so we have seen one question. We will continue with both the questions. Yeah, but before that, I just want to give you one more example, friends. Like while talking, suddenly that struck me. See, actually, we feel that CA final is difficult. No, there are so many other areas. I compare myself to a doctor's profession. See, doctors, we are also doctors only, no? We are doctors for money and they are doctors for human body. Now you see how much risk a doctor takes, how much risk is involved. That's why, students, when the medical profession, okay, how it goes like this, I'll see, because from the outset it doesn't look. You see, you know what is their evaluation, how the evaluation happens, how a person qualifies an MBA, MBBS. First of all, they have got 5 years they have to spend. Just like we have got articleship, they have also got theory and they have got practicals. Practicals, they know all the people, student will be going to the hospital, they study. Fantastic, just like us, just like we go for articleship, they go for the hospitals. We sit and study, they also sit and study. But there are two differences in which our examination and their examination happens. And imagine if if the government plans to bring their style of examination in our examination, you can see how difficult it is. First of all, they have got two types of exam. One, theory exam, another is called a practical exam. Theory exam is a 100-mark paper, just like what we are writing. In theory exam, what happens? They will be asked questions which they are supposed to write. And the difference here is between our theory and their theory. Our theory scope is limited. They have given you 6 subjects and that 6 subject study material they have given. And at least 90% is come from this study material only. You know their study syllabus. When they write 100-mark paper, when they are writing the final year MBBS exam, from the first year MBBS to final year MBBS, any questions can come. So imagine, students, in your final, you will be asked a question. That is what IBS paper is all about. See, that slowly that is coming. Imagine you will be asked something from the foundation there. KV tempter rule is asked. Doctrine of indoor management, or you are asking something on economics. Now you see how our life is comfortable. Our scope is much limited, fixed to this. And that too, if they are talking about the old syllabus, they permitted to take the books also. Very nice, no? So if the moment I say understand 7S model of organization structure or something, yes, I know exactly, okay, this is in the strategic management. I can go and refer that book. But see, they cannot take the books, but they have to remember, obviously, because they are dealing with the human life. And they cannot, we may plan to skip some of the chapter, but they cannot skip diabetes. Because if they skip diabetes, they will skip diabetes throughout, because next level it will go to the advanced interactions of the diabetes, so and so. So can you imagine a doctor who don't know about diabetes? How much risk he is taking? Okay, this is the theory part. Now you understand about the practical part. Ah, beautiful. Now how the practical examination happens, and they also have got attempt. That means if not done, then they have to give another, but there is a 3 months gap, I believe. They have to again prepare and write one more exam. See, the practical thing goes like this. Suppose I am a student from a Mangalore hospital here, some KMC hospital. I am a student. Now, some doctors come from Kolkata or Bangalore, and I have to sit in front of them and they will start asking me questions. See, we are not faced. This we will face when we go for interview. That's why IC has kept this for the interview level. They say, let them ask this question and try and test you. But if you are into a doctor's profession, that interview you have to face, then only you will be qualified as a doctor. Now, these doctors are proper doctors. They are coming from the practical field. So what they will ask, they will not ask you theory questions. They will ask you very practical, tricky questions. Like an interview is going to ask you. And you have to qualify in this interview round also. And when you are qualified in both the rounds, you understand the problem, students. When you talk about theory, everything what they study from first year is they can ask. Anything they can ask. And when you are talking to the proper people, how much they have to study? That's why, and now you see this medical student, you may see them, okay, they are roaming with the friends and all, and they are talking here, but please understand, at a PUC level, that the NEET exams and all, see the amount of sacrifice they do just to get into that medical school, because they are used to study. They read a lot, they sit and study a lot, and that's what we require. We have to sit and we have to study, because we are not doing any favor on anyone, because it's going to become our skill only. Because in upcoming days, once you are qualified as a CA, see, new challenges come, GST will change, income tax will come. Who is going to guide you? Who is going to teach you? You have to sit and study that. Like you may get into technology. Today I was into technology after CA. I was never into my core function. Now, how did I learn it? So we have to learn it. Okay, so this is just thought came to me. I thought of telling you. Okay, so they have given one comparative in the study material only. So audit procedures and reporting, assess the consistency, check the comparative, determine contents appropriately classified. Okay, possible misstatements are there. Okay, so you can write these points only. There are very 5 nice points are there. So when it is reporting, auditor should refer the opinion only when last year figures, when previous auditor is modified, pre-period misstatements are not addressed, if pre-period misstatements are unaudited. With reference to the comparative figures, auditor's opinion shall refer for each period. Difference in the opinion should be given. If previous financial year audited by some other auditor, mention the same. If it is unaudited, mention the same. Okay, so they are told these are all the same thing for both. Okay, let us see the Q&A. Kuber Tech Solutions is in the process of finalizing its financials. The company is required to present the comparative financial statements. See, this is the keyword, comparative financial statements. So they can fool you by these words, including figures for the year ended 31st March 2024. Now, is it a corresponding figure or is it a comparative financial statement? Or they wanted to say comparative statement or information? We don't know. This could be print mistake also. The company is required to present the comparative financial information, but instead of information, they could have given statement. Because information has got two elements called corresponding figure and corresponding financial statement. Anyhow, we don't know, but one thing we know that is from chapter number 7, concept number 5. So CA firm Roshan was appointed as an auditor. During the year, engagement partner notes the following. Current year auditor is Gupta, Roshan and Co, same person. But last year is Gupta and Mehra. Okay, one thing, whether, see, they might have fooled you, they might have been trying to irritate you with this type of print mistake, or I don't know. Is it a comparative information or corresponding? But one thing, students, whatever, when the last year auditor was different, are you not supposed to tell that what is this particular thing are you not supposed to tell? Because this is applicable for both. Corresponding figures also, comparative also. But in the chart, they didn't tell that. You see, in the chart, they didn't tell that this is applicable to them. But in the study material, they told, but it is applicable. Actually, this will come here also because it is applicable to both. So this one point you can always write. Audit opinion, last year it was adverse. The current year audit is progressing now. Now one question may come, should I refer? Now what was the reason? Material misstatement was there in the valuation. Now misstatement remain uncorrected. So if the misstatement remain uncorrected, so you have to make an assumption that this must be corresponding figure they are talking. So you have to state it. Now presentation of the financial statement, figures presented as comparative of 24-25 audit, this year audit. So what you are presenting today, current year figures and previous year figures. Now, what are the duties of Roshan while reporting on current year financial statement considering previous adverse report? Okay, so you have to state it. So you have to tell that last year auditor's report has been adverse and last year auditor was different. And second thing, you have to tell, look, current year figures. Okay, this is for the first one. What should be the duty? And what modification or disclosures are required in the current year audit report as per the standards on auditing? So you will quote now SA 710, that itself will fetch you 1 mark. So how it is going to impact this year? Okay, that's what you need to say. In the given picture, so you can mark it as a priority 1, students. If I have missed it, nice question. They can ask for the exam. In the given question, Roshan noticed that the previous year financial statement contained an adverse opinion due to evaluation misstatement of the trade receivable, whatever. As per 710, comparative information, corresponding figure and financial statement. If the auditor's report of the previous period includes adverse opinion and the matter has not been unresolved, auditor shall modify the current year opinion also, and in the basis of the modified opinion paragraph, he should refer both current year figure and the corresponding figure, where the current year figures are material. If it is not material, in other cases, he should give effect only of unresolved matter on the comparability of the current year figures. So you have to practice this para. Alternatively, if you want, you can write this para also, because they only have given in the study material. So auditor, if the matter has not been resolved, you have to give the reference. You can write this. You need not. If you feel, sir, this is very tricky and all, you please skip it. No problem, because you are taking risk of only 1 mark. If you don't want to write this or practice this, you can say something very simple. If last year auditor's report was modified and the issue has not yet been resolved, current year auditor also has to modify the report. Like what you have seen in the first question. See. Okay, in here also they have given the same thing. Same answer they have given. But okay, in one para to may fetch 1 mark to you. So you decide. So in the present case, the matter leading to the current previous year adverse opinion has not been resolved. That's why you must modify the current year audit opinion also as per 710. Okay. If the financial statement of the period were audited by the predecessor auditor and auditor permitted by the law or regulation to refer, so in other matter paragraph, he has to state that the financial statement was audited by predecessor auditor, the type of audit opinion what has expressed, and the date of the report. So his last year audit was done by Gupta and Co. So he has to express that, okay, they have expressed the modified opinion. Okay, let us go back to the question. Is it that the second question talking about this Gupta and Co? What modifications or disclosures required in the current in accounting? So please see what modification? No, what disclosures are required? Because modification they have already spoken here, or in the examination they may remove this. They can give you this. So modification is related to this, disclosure is related to this. So be careful in the examination question what they are going to ask. That's it. These are the only 2 questions you have got in essay 720, 710. Okay, so one more question is there. Test your knowledge 11. Question number 34. Okay, I think by mistake I must have put it here. Yeah, you can take question number 34 also, which is very similar to question number 1. Neptune holds significant investment of equity. Due to decline in the market, company's investments have suffered a notable diminution in the value. For the year ended 31st March 2023, audit report included a qualification for the non-provision and auditor of financial year 2024. How do you report this? If the provision was not made, if the provision has been made. So this question is very similar to question number 1. So same answers you can write. So you will write the same story. In fact, I can remove this and say that if last year thing has not been done, then you may have to refer. If last year provision has been made, you don't refer. So you can say something like that. Okay, so you can treat it as a question number similar to question number 1. Yes, so we will move on to the last standard of 700 series now. With this, we are done with the standards. Essay 720. Okay, maybe 1 minute we can take the break, water break. So we will move on to the next standard called 720, the last standard for this reporting. Again, very few questions are there. So we have seen the heart of this particular chapter lies in essay 705 and essay 570. Means 5705 modification. So they will ask you to draft the para, because this is something which is going to come in the final. They will ask you where it is going to get reported. Is it a key audit matter, emphasis of matter? So reporting, majority of the questions are revolving there only. This is what you can expect in the finals. Now 710, 720, hardly 1-2 questions are there. So I can suggest you, rather than studying the material, you focus on the Q&A only, because Q&A only will cover everything now. Procedure is very important. A procedure is only 5 procedures, and your reporting you can write this answer. Okay. Now let us go to essay 720. So what is your 720? I can give an analogy to you, students. Like suppose your friend will purchase one, say, one pen, very beautiful pen. Now generally we make an inquiry. Okay, where did you buy this pen? Even I wanted that pen. Now your friend says that this particular pen I purchased from so and so shop at rupees 100. Okay, next time you will also go to buy that. And when you go to buy that pen, the shop owner, you see the same pen, but the shop owner says this is at rupees 200. Now you tell me, will you buy? Will you buy? You may not buy. Why? Now you got into a catch now. Your friend, if would not have told you, you might have purchased. But the friend has purchased this pen for 100 rupees. Now you start doubting now. Now somebody is lying. Either your friend is lying or the shop owner is lying. But you may not buy this. But in this process, what happened? Did you not doubt your friend? For time being, did the friend lie to me? Okay. Point is, students, just like no comparative, no decision. We can also say that conflicts in comparison, no decision. That if there is a conflict, if there is contradictions in the comparisons, you'll not be able to decide. So a comparative should be very clean. Okay, now I will tell you from the audit point of view. Investor Warren Buffett, okay, he will get the annual report. In the very first page, they have told the revenue 500 crore. And this is my ROI is 20%. Now, as he proceeds further, okay, people like us will see only the front page. But Warren Buffett will go into the balance sheet and P&L account. And in the P&L account, he says that revenue is 450 crore. Now he will get confused. On the front page, which is the written in the annual report, the revenue is told 500 crore. But in the P&L, which has been certified by the management and the auditor, the revenue is quoted 450 crore. Now who is correct now? Is 500 is correct or 450 is correct? Now, what he may do, no? He may keep that annual report aside. He say better not get into this type of companies. But in this process, the signature of the chartered accountant was undermined. You see, you lost the trust. Why? Unnecessarily, this board of directors have played some game there. Okay, they are trying to mislead the people by telling some other picture only in the annual report. So now one question comes. See, till now you focused on the numbers, presentation of the financial statement. But what if you focused on the comparative also, because you understood that somebody can be fooled by comparative. But this time you went one step ahead and you saw a document which is included as part of the financial statement. You go beyond the financial statement and you see in the annual report, have they told things properly? Okay, now let us understand what is the responsibility. So this standard 720 talks about the responsibility of the other information. Please see, which is included in an annual report. So you have got some responsibility, director's report. Okay, there you have to do some director's analysis, strategy, so many things you have to give as per the law, section 133 of the Companies Act. Besides this, voluntarily you may give so many information. Now, point here is very simple. You give whatever information. As an auditor, I am not concerned. But is any of the information is related to the financial statements? Then I want to see to it that that number which you are told in the annual report and that number which is appearing in the financial statement, they should be in sync. Because if these numbers are differing, some investors may observe it and they may not take a decision. Leave it. That is none of my concern if they don't want to invest in your company. Arey Baba, they underestimated my signature. How it is possible? For me, my signature is like my ego, my esteem. It is like somebody has to trust me. I have done my job properly. If I'm not trusted, despite with such an effort, it's not acceptable. No? That's why there is the responsibility on our auditor to verify that other information. Auditor need to consider, think deeply, other information is materially inconsistent with the financial statement, or is it different from what knowledge you obtained, because you have done audit on some basis. You understood the entity and accordingly you did some sort of audits. Now you understand that the entity is not like what you thought. It was totally different. Like I told the example of that student. So when that student came for the first time, he was like any other student. 1 month is there for the exam. I thought, what he'll do? But later when I saw something, then I understood. That means my understanding of the student is totally different. So if that was the case, I would have done audit in a different way. If I knew it. That is called inconsistency with the knowledge. Or there is a material misstatement. That means my financial statement is perfect, but there is a problem in the annual report. That material misstatement has been done. So we are going to talk about the 3 scenarios. Scenario number 1, whether there is an inconsistency between any numbers or disclosures here and here. Second, is there any inconsistency between what you told here and my knowledge? And third, my knowledge is also perfect, financial statement is also perfect, but something wrong thing they have told here. Do I have any responsibility towards it? Followed, no student? Okay, to give you an analogy, I can say, okay, we'll proceed further. I can explain with some other circumstance. This essay does not apply to preliminary announcements of the financial information, securities offering documents, including prospectus. Okay, so prospectus and all is not going to apply. Maybe some other standards will apply. So annual report is a document, combination of document. The purpose is to provide the owners, investors, information about the operations of the entity, financial results, and the cash flow forecasts. Cash flow, not forecast, cash flow things. So it includes information about the entity's development, future outlooks, risks, uncertainty, plus the financial statements. Now, other information can be financial or non-financial information, which is included in the entity's annual report. Okay, when they said misstatement of the other information, that means it can be financial information or non-financial information other than financial statement components. Okay, what is the example? Like for example, I can say something like this. I can give an example. This is my annual report. This is my P&L. Here they said revenue 500 crore. Here it is revenue 450 crore. Yes, this is called inconsistency. This is part of the first report. But since this is a pharma company and they have given one disclosure that we have invented medicine for cancer. Now tell me, is this anything has to do with the P&L or the notes to accounts? No, we don't have anything to do. But somewhere, since I am the auditor of the company, I know that this information is wrong. This is misleading. Or the client has told that we got a license from the government to operate in so and so area. But since I know that you as an auditor, I know that you never applied. That means this is an other information which has nothing to do with my financial statement, but totally misstated in the annual reports. Okay, so what is the objective of the auditor? The objective of the auditor, having read the other information, that means you have to read that other information, consider whether there is a material inconsistency between that other information, annual report, and the financial statements. Then consider means deeply think after you read. Is there any material inconsistency between that annual report and the auditor's knowledge about the entity? Then respond appropriately when you have identified such material inconsistencies. That means if you identify any difference here, you have to respond appropriately. Or when you find any other material misstatement which is not connected to the financial statement, respond. That means you need not consider, you need not read and consider. you have to read and consider. That means you have to have that comparison, think, verify carefully. Okay, is there any material inconsistency? Like this is what I tell you students, when I am teaching you, this is the study material. Should you not compare this information, whatever reading, with the your study material which is in your hand now? You have to be comparing that. When I tell something, is it consistent with what is told in the study material? That also you need to tell. That also you need to verify. Today I told about one doctor's example, that their examination is happening like this, they are doing like that. Now, that is totally not connected with your syllabus only. That is not connected with your study material. But I might have lied to you. I might have told something wrong. That is the third element. That's what your response. So how do you respond when you identify difference between your material and my material? You will inform me. When you respond, when you identify difference between my material and your understanding, our material is same. Both the places, revenue is 500 crore, 500 crore. That means numbers are not different. But the way you have understood this number was different. The way you have understood the study material was different. So how do you respond now? You upgrade yourself. You say, okay, sir, this is way I didn't knew that this is how we should have read the study material. Now there can be another situation. How do you respond if you come to know totally different thing which is not connected with the study material? Like I told about the marking scheme yesterday. It's not part of your study material. How do you respond to it now? That's why we have to have three elements here. Are you clear about this? And then report accordance with the essay. So that other information includes the amount, information they said, or other items, that means disclosure, that are intended to be same as to summarize or provide greater details. That means what I could have done, I could have given a summary. In my financial statement, their revenue is line item wise. There are 5 streams. But here I could have given a summary of it. Or in my financial statement, revenue I have given only one as per the Companies Act. But in the other information, I could have given segment-wise summary. Something extra I could have given. So, whatever it is, amount or information, it includes amounts and other items which could have been summarized, or it could have been providing greater details, or other items in the financial statement, and amounts or other items about which the auditor has obtained the knowledge in the audit. It can include your other matters also. Other matters are not connected to financial statement. That means it is totally different. So what are the requirements? Okay, so we'll just have quick overview, because in the next evening class we will discuss, and I wish to complete it by today or tomorrow. We have to complete it because the next one is CARO. CARO we will move fast because already you have studied at the intermediate level. We will focus only from the examination question point of view for CARO. Okay, now what is that I should be doing? If I have to see my knowledge is perfect, okay, obtain that other information. That's why students, after my every class, are you not asking me this? Are you not asking my chat? Obtain that and read it. Then read and consider. Find the differences. Respond when you if inconsistencies appear. Okay, and then report. So I can say there are 4 requirements. I think documentation. Okay, then we have to how to report. What if the report has been prescribed by law? Yes, that's it. There are 4 or 5 requirements. With this, we will be completing essay 720 also. Yes, students, I hope you are clear with what we have discussed. Yes, 710, I understand there is some small trickiness. But this is not I have created, it is only they have created by not telling something in the material. So my strong suggestion, essay 710, you focus only on 2 things. One, you study that procedures, 5 procedures, obtaining representation, like reading. They have given that 5 procedures in the chart also. That you see, this 5 procedures you study. And when it comes to reporting, you refer Q&A. You just focus on the Q&A. Enough. You need not go through this theory. You study, because in Q&A there is a consistency, because same way they have written. So you practically properly study the Q&A. Yes, students, so we will meet in the evening class.